I woke up in the middle of the night and I started worrying about how I would make sure that the slide on the screen matches the slide that I'm talking from. So I've got a strategy. I don't know how it's going to work. As the slide indicates there, my name is Ashley Lomas Johnson. I have been the CEO for the Raleigh Housing Authority since April 17 last year, so not very long. I grew up in public housing in about 12 miles from Cape Town in South Africa, and for the last 31 years it's been a very satisfying experience working in housing authorities around the country. I've worked in the state of Washington, where my wife is from, as well as Baltimore. So, and now I'm in Raleigh. So today I want to talk about, here we go. I want to talk about a couple of our strategic initiatives that's come out of our strategic planning and long-term desires to make a bigger difference in Raleigh. But before I talk about those two initiatives, I want to talk a little bit about the Housing Authority, what it is, and I'm on the same page. What it is and how we are related to the city. You have little covers and a bag that says Raleigh Housing. Our clients and customers know us as Raleigh Housing Authority, so it's not surprising that there is some confusion about the Housing Authority and what it does. So, I'll catch up here. Here we go. So what is the Housing Authority? We're a public agency that is independent and authorized under North Carolina state law. We have the right to operate federal housing programs like the Section 8 and public housing programs. We may acquire or develop low-income housing. We may acquire property through eminent domain. I just threw that in so you can wake up. And we may issue bonds, and we do. We issue conduit bonds that support the development and the financing of 4% tax credit units, and we are in the process of applying for a credit rating from Standard & Poor's so that we can also issue municipal and or general revenue bonds for acquisition and other activities to develop or acquire housing. And then lastly, and this doesn't conclude the series of rights and responsibilities that we have the right to borrow or lend money for low-income housing. So, the Housing Authority and the City of Raleigh. As I said, we are authorized under state law, and we were founded by the City of Raleigh in 1938. I think that's about 36 years ago, if my math is right. We're not a city department. Often that is the understanding of some folks. We are governed by a 9-member board of commissioners that includes one of our federal housing program customers, public housing or Section 8. And the mayor appoints our commissioners for overlapping terms, and the chief executive, that happens to be me, I report to the board, and the board is responsible for hiring and firing the chief executive. So, some key program facts, just very briefly. We serve over 6,000 households, mainly in Raleigh, but also in Wake County. The average incomes of our clients is about $18,000 a year. 82% of them have incomes below 30% of area median income. Of these over 6,000 households, 5,600 of them benefit from subsidized housing opportunities. So when we talk about subsidized housing, we talk about programs where the rent is based on the household's income, so typically 30% of adjusted income. Now, public housing is our oldest program. We have 1,245 units, and then we have 654 units in the cloud, the so-called Faircloth units. So for those of you who are from Raleigh and North Carolina should recognize the Faircloth name, named after Senator Faircloth, whose legislation that he sponsored resulted in public housing units, the maximum being capped at the levels they were in December of 1999. So back then, we had 654 more public housing units than we have now. So we do have these 654 Faircloth units that we can develop. It's tough, but we will try. The Housing Choice Voucher Program is the largest program, traditionally referred to, and sometimes still, as the Section 8 program. We have just more than 4,400 vouchers. And then we own and operate, manage, and maintain about 2,000 total affordable housing units. So the Housing Authority adopted a strategic plan in March of this year. This plan and other things that I'll be talking about today, more information is available on our website. Our plan includes 5 strategic goals, and these 2 initiatives that I'll be talking about today comes from these strategies identified in the strategic plan. So far, I'm doing good. Okay, the first one that I'll be talking about is the project-based voucher program. Somebody mentioned that term, project-based vouchers. The Raleigh Housing Authority has not had a project-based voucher program, which is somewhat a good thing because it's a huge opportunity for the Housing Authority and for the city. So let me talk briefly about the project-based voucher program. Unlike a tenant-based voucher, PBV is tied to the unit. When the tenant moves, the assistance doesn't move with the tenant like in a tenant-based voucher situation. The subsidy stays with the unit. Typically, project-based vouchers are allocated through a competitive RFP process. And you may be interested to know that the county and the city and the Housing Authority has started to talk about having a joint application process for city, county, and Housing Authority PBV. This is done in some parts of the country, like the Pacific Northwest, where I came from recently. So housing authorities are allowed to project-base up to 30% of their voucher pool. So for us, that's around 1,230 units. If we want to project-base that full 30%, and we want to, and will most likely do so, 10% of those vouchers, roughly 400, have to be 10% of the total amount of vouchers have to serve folks who can't live independently without some level of services, at least at the beginning. So for these, we envision projects around Raleigh and Wake County that will serve communities and people who who need the affordable and subsidized housing, but also services. Just an example, for example, folks who exit incarceration often are in difficult situations. They can't find housing, they can't find jobs, and so on. So one of the thoughts and ideas coming out of this, or that's part of this, is that maybe we can develop a partnership with a developer, nonprofit, who can establish a project that would serve folks who otherwise may find it very difficult to re-enter the community. So roughly estimated, so once fully implemented, and these contracts could be contracts for up to 20 years. When fully implemented, this program would provide subsidy of up to $400 million, which is a huge and significant sum that will leverage additional affordable housing for people of extremely low income. So what are some of the benefits? And there are numerous benefits, and I just want to point out some of them here. The vouchers can leverage city, county, and other funding to develop housing for extremely low-income households. And under HUD speak, extremely low-income households are those below 30% of area median income. Project-based vouchers can enable mission-driven nonprofits and others to serve extremely low-income households in their properties. Often there are folks who want to serve people who make $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a year, but they can't make use of 30% units without a subsidy. And so project-based vouchers can help those organizations who want to serve the neediest folks in our community through decent and high-quality housing. For permanent supportive housing, because the rent levels are essentially at market rate, especially after the big increase in fair market rents at the beginning of this year, the revenue from these units can generate additional resources, revenue for permanent supportive housing, especially those folks who provide services to their residents. For the Housing Authority, this is an important strategic initiative because project-based vouchers will add relocation options for our public housing residents, and we'll talk a little bit about Heritage Park and the relocation there in a minute. But we are in the process of entering into contracts with developers and property owners, project-based voucher contracts, and so those folks who have applied for these project-based vouchers, the developers and owners, they have made a commitment to provide a priority for folks who need to relocate. And then lastly, and this is a passion as well as an obsession for me, that project-based vouchers can assist housing authorities to get to 100% voucher utilization. Now, you may be interested that nationwide, only 86% of the vouchers are used, and that's about 330,000 vouchers that are unused. In North Carolina, 81% of the vouchers are used. And nationwide, that percentage is at 86. We are in striking distance of 100%, and we'll be there on Christmas Day, and I'll celebrate, and we all will celebrate. So those are the benefits of the project-based voucher program, and a huge resource and benefit to not just to the Housing Authority and our clients, but our partners around the city and around the county. That one moved on. So next, I want to talk about the transformation of our public housing. So there is a broad consensus that the federal government does not and will never fund public housing at the levels needed to sustain public housing. So even when you develop fair-cloth public housing units, HUD has an option where you can immediately transfer it to under the RAD program to project-based voucher housing. So so the future of public housing, because of the lack of funding, both operating and capital, is at risk. And so the Raleigh Housing Authority has a number of aging public housing stock, very low density. Heritage Park is an example, but Kentwood in southwest Raleigh is a project that has only 89 units, and it's on 14 acres. So you can see that there's significant potential there to provide significantly more units. All in all, the Housing Authority has about 45 acres of very valuable land holdings where we need to replace the housing one for one, but where we can also expand, greatly expand the number of housing units. One of the big benefits of the public housing in Raleigh is that the properties are not concentrated in one or two areas of the city. It's fairly spread out, which is unusual in the United States. The Housing Authority has access to a wide range of repositioning tools in order to effect this transformation, primarily Section 818, disposition and demolition that leads and can lead to property being redeveloped, and then various rental assistance demonstration program options, so-called RAD options. The RAD program was started in the second administration of the second term of the Obama administration, and has had a big impact on transforming public housing around this city, leveraging $7 billion worth of development and construction. So I'm going to talk next about Heritage Park, which for our board and for the Housing Authority and for many in the city is a high priority for redevelopment, repositioning. So this is the current site of Heritage Park. For those of you who don't know where it is and who may be a migrant like I am, a new immigrant, it is just 2 blocks to the south of us and 1 block to the west, if I am correct. This is the current site, aerial view of the site. There are 122 units, 11.6 acres, and we rounded up to 12. So over the past year, about 15 months, we've been engaged in a process to develop a plan for Heritage Park. So why are we redeveloping it? Why are we not just renovating it? Under federal regulations, we aren't allowed to spend federal dollars on physically obsolete public housing. Public housing is physically obsolete, family housing, if the cost to renovate the development exceeds 57.14% of replacement costs. So we've had a capital needs analysis done of all of our public housing properties, and Heritage Park is physically obsolete based on that analysis, and the HUD will be the final arbiter of whether that is in fact accurate. So we cannot spend money, federal money, on renovating the site. So what this does is it provides us with a unique opportunity to redevelop a 12-acre downtown site that was built in 1975. So as I said, we've engaged in a fairly robust planning process and community engagement over the last 14 to 15 months, starting in June of 2023. We've had more than 15 resident and stakeholder meetings, community stakeholders, city staff, and so on, to develop a vision for the new community and a design for the community. So the draft plans, options that we have that came out of this planning process that was completed in late February and adopted by the board in March, range in options, 3 options, from about 550 units to 970 units. So compared to 122, I know I can say quintuple. I don't know what the word is when it goes above that. But anyway, it's a lot more units, and it's not going to just be housing. It'll include retail, community plaza, green spaces, and amenities, and it will have at least one senior building. So I'm still, so out of this process of planning emerged a 5-point vision for the redevelopment. If you have time, please go on our website and you can read more about this. But these are the elements of the vision for Heritage Park. So this slide kind of depicts, is a rendering of what the kind of community plaza would look like with non-residential amenities and uses. The site plan at the bottom right corner is one of the three options in terms of number of units and density. This is a rendering of the entire site in the foreground with lower density housing on the southwest corner of the site, and as you move towards the core of downtown, the housing gets denser. So from townhouses to 2-story to buildings up to 5 stories. And then, of course, there's one building just to the south, just to the northeast, the new 20-story market rate development, which is also one of the things that's almost unique about Raleigh Housing Authority, that owners are willing to build very high-cost housing right across from public housing. So a recognition of the value of the land in the city. So lastly, I want to, you did not, you must be asleep. You didn't see that one. No, I'll pause for a while so you can look at that. Anyway, that is the rendering of what the site might look like in the future. Probably 5 to 10 years from now. So what's going to happen to the residents who are there now? Some of the residents have already relocated voluntarily. They will have the right to come back like everyone else. We have properties, project-based voucher properties coming online, and those residents have applied to those brand new properties that are opening up, and are eager to, some of them are eager to move in there. So all residents will have a right to return. Returning residents will have top priority on the waiting list. Multiple relocation options are available to them, existing public housing, tenant-based vouchers, as well as project-based vouchers, or units supported by project-based vouchers. The Housing Authority will pay for moving costs, moving and related costs, so deposits for utilities and so on, and will pay not just for permanent relocations or temporary relocations off the site, but when folks come back, the Housing Authority will also pay for those moves. And in addition to that, the Housing Authority is in the process of assembling a relocation team that will provide counseling support and case management to all the residents who will be relocating. So those are two of the high priority strategic initiatives of the Housing Authority to transform public housing, and with that transform the face of Raleigh and increase the availability of affordable housing in a major way, as well as a project that will support a lot of other developers and projects to make them pencil and to support them so that they can serve extremely low-income households. So thank you for your attention.